Hey guys, and welcome to 20s in Transit with
Zhenia,
Nourhan,
Kim,
Yassmin,
Rachel. Enjoy. Hello guys.
Hi.
Hi.
20s in Transit, episode 1.
Episode 1, take 1.
In the booth. My name is Kim. I'm here with my co-hosts today, Rachel and Nourhan.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Hi, I'm Nourhan.
Pilot episode
Yes.
of our podcast. Today's episode is called New Beginnings, and we'll be diving into just a brief introduction on us, the presenters, the podcast as a concept, and kind of where we plan to go in the future with it. And then obviously just all your content as usual. I'll let my two co-hosts introduce themselves now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Rachel. I'm 22. I was born and raised in the outskirts of London, and now we're all going to uni together in London at City University, and we're all in second year. And that's great. I think I lean in like interests and like career ambitions much more towards like arts and entertainment rather than anything political or historical, or maybe slightly contrasting to some of the other people that you'll meet of our team. But yeah, that's me.
I'm Nourhan. I'm Egyptian originally, but I grew up in Saudi Arabia and Dubai, and I'm an international student, obviously, moved here for uni, loving it so far, and I am a little bit more politically inclined, but I love the arts as well, so it's a fun little mix. I'm not 20 yet, guys, which makes me feel like I shouldn't be on this podcast a little bit, but I am turning 20 very soon, so this will be a good opportunity to learn from everyone's experiences of being 6 months older than me.
And I'm Kim. As of a month and a half, I'm 20, and I was born in the States, but have been raised across mainland Europe, East Coast America, and briefly in Central Asia. And we have two additional members of the crew who aren't here today. Essentially, it'll be a rotating cast, so you'll get to meet some of our other presenters on upcoming episodes, and they'll have their own takes on their own topics. So the plan for the podcast is relatively simple. It's not going to be particularly inclined towards any one topic. Each episode will have a main host who'll kind of take the stage and lay down a topic of their choice and outline prompts for it. And we'll take turns doing this, broaching different topics on each episode. Yeah, hopefully covering.
And today that is you.
Yeah, it is me today, in case you haven't noticed. Doing a lot of chatting.
Yeah. Well, I guess we wanted to dive into what we were talking about, which is new beginnings.
So for the first topic, the double decade, all of us in the group, with the exceptions of some of us, are
The exception of 1/3 of the group.
I'm a very mature 19-year-old, so I do think that I count as a 20-year-old in my mind.
We all range in the plus minus to 6 months grace period of our 20s.
Yes, I mean I'm 22, so I'm like
Rachel's age.
24 months, but like you know,
you're in there.
I'm
in that range.
It's very early 20s still. I'm not an old hag yet.
Yeah,
It's coming.
eventually we all will be old hags, but
I feel like an old 20.
you
I feel like an old 20 trapped in a 20-year-old body.
Yeah, how do you feel about the idea of like the teens being over and being 20, and like what does that mean to you? Because like
It doesn't feel any different.
It doesn't feel any different.
I'm
You're
actually
terrified.
terrified. Like,
Why?
I came to the realization right around Christmas that my next birthday would be my 20th birthday, and I actually started crying. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I started tearing up. I was just like, what do you mean my
Really?
childhood's over? Because in my mind, as long as you're a teenager, you're still like super young. But then once you hit 20, by virtually every measurement, you're now a young adult. Like, you're an adult. It's done. Like, you know, I can't be like, oh, I'm just a teenager. Like, leave me alone. No, I'm not. Like, I'm an adult now. And it's strange because I've always been, quote, like, older than my age, or like a mature for my age. but somehow the like processing that I'm actually now going to be like a mature young adult
Yeah.
is just a bit hard to wrap my head around. Like, even though I was not the most like childish teenager.
Do you have siblings? Do you have older siblings?
I have an older sister, yeah.
Okay. So are you the baby of the family?
I am the baby of the family. She's like super old, super ancient, your age. You
Oh
know?
my god, super old hag. Awful.
She's turning 22 tomorrow, actually.
Oh my god, a
April.
Pisces queen.
Yes.
Love.
So I've always been super close to her. So I've always felt like I was her age, but I'm not her age. And now I'm turning 20, guys, and it's
Because I guess you're not actually far in age. You're like just over 2 years.
Yeah,
Which is like not
that
far
much.
at all.
I think it was the opposite for me.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be in my
Really?
20s, especially my early 20s. Yeah, I feel like it's touted as like the most opportunistic and kind of like readily available period of your life. I feel like once you, especially having made the jump from being living entirely with one's family and having kind of high school or college, like encapsulating your whole life and going to a more like you're able to do so much more. I feel like in your early adulthood, and the burdens that come with it are like they're tangible, but they're also fun to tackle. I feel like I'm working a job. Fully part-time now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely with you on this one. Like, before I was 20, I was craving being 20. When I was 20, I was craving being 21. I feel like I'm kind of settling into being my own age at this point. But it's just the freedom, the independence I craved from when I was like a teenager, when you don't really have access to it and you think you kind of do, but you just really don't.
It's like halfway there. It's halfway measures. You get to, like, your parents will let you stay out late.
Oh my god, living with it was, to be honest, because I moved out away from my family when I was 19, but I wasn't at uni, so it was just like raw dogging life. Like, it was a lot.
Off the leash.
It was a lot. But the independence, like, it was really hard, but it was really worth it for the independence, I think. And I do not miss being a teenager.
Yeah, neither do I. All 1.5
awful.
months of it. So far removed.
I think when you're a teenager, like, you grow up so much faster. Like, the difference between 17 and 18 is huge.
Dude, 16 to 18 is a
Oh
roller
my
coaster.
god,
18.
and you look so different.
You look at that's the thing. I don't think I look different at all because I was like 15, which is actually slightly concerning.
Yeah, I don't look different either, to be honest.
But like, personality wise, oh my god, I like look back at videos of me at 15 and I'm like, oh my goodness.
You guys are lucky. I was chopped and weird at 15.
I think when you hit your 20s, you really grow into yourself.
Yeah.
And sure, you develop as a person, but you kind of have gotten the reins of like life, or like what, not necessarily reins of life, let's be honest. But
you have more of a grip of yourself. Yeah.
and you kind of know what direction you want to go in or what directions you want to explore. Whereas I feel like when you're a teen, it's just kind of
Just that.
complete chaos.
Speak for yourself. I still don't know what direction I'm going in.
Well,
that's the horrifying
at
part.
least you know what directions you don't want to go in, I think.
Yeah, you've tried some things at this time and
That's true.
gone, oh, hate that.
And teens are trial and error years. I feel like it weighs into also kind of everyone else coming into themselves around you at the same time.
Oh my god,
'Cause
so much, yeah.
It's so much easier out of high school to align yourself with people who are growing into themselves the same way that you are, and kind of realizing more strongly their self-identity and how strongly it correlates with you. I don't speak to more than maybe 3-4 people from high school
Me too.
anymore, because I've just come to realize that in terms of growing up, we were friends, but there wasn't much substance to it more than being like teenage
Situational.
friends.
It's because you live near each other and you go to the same school.
I think for me, I'm still pretty close with my high school friend group, but I think our friendship dynamic has evolved and changed quite a bit since we've all gone out to university, especially being... So I grew up in Dubai, which is it's known for being an expat city. I think something like 90% of the population is non
90?
Yeah, I think for Dubai at least, like as a city,
Wow.
90% of it is non-Emiratis. So you kind of
That's
know
crazy.
it's insane because like my entire high school had like 4 Emirati families, and you kind of grow up knowing that like everyone here is almost like in transit essentially, and you know that the people you're meeting will eventually travel back to their home countries or go
Wow.
somewhere
Don't
else.
get me started on Dubai.
Have you been?
No.
Oh God, Kim's not a Dubai fan.
I'm a bit skeptical, to be fair, because
Guys, Dubai is great.
But is it great? Why do you like it, and why do you think it was good that you were like raised there essentially?
Oh,
or?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's something about like my school had, by the time I graduated, 97 nationalities.
Wow.
So while I was like in my very foundational years of like understanding the world around me, I was in a very diverse, multicultural society. And it really, really, I think it opened up my eyes to like the world without me needing to travel anywhere.
That's amazing.
So I got to learn like a lot of different cultures, a lot of different traditions, which I would not have gotten had I stayed in Egypt. So yeah, I really enjoyed growing up in Dubai. But then there's that part of like my entire friend group's all over the world now. So that makes it so that when we go back for vacations, everyone's living an entirely different life. So we've kept the same people in our lives, but I would argue that they're not the same people because everyone's changed so much since we've graduated.
It's a question of Perseus's ship.
Oh my
Are
god.
you guys familiar with the ship of...
I am, but I'm not.
The ship of... Is it Orpheus?
Please
Perseus?
remind me.
So it's the concept, and it's the same as like river theory. If you take apart a ship and rebuild the exact same ship with different pieces and different components,
Oh, I do
is
know
it,
this.
Is it the same
I
ship?
do know this.
And
yes.
if you step into a river
Yes.
and then step into the same river later, are you the same person? And is it the same river?
Is it the same river? Oh my god. I'd say no to both.
Not to get deep on you all real quick.
Yeah, that was crazy. End of podcast.
I just went, yeah, my friends live around the world, and Kim goes,
Kim was like, right.
well, is it the same friends?
Right, but do you even know that?
I think it's a question of how we perceive identity and how
Yeah, for
it
sure.
can change like growing up, because everyone changes so fast in their late teens
Yeah.
while retaining the aspects of themselves that are most important to them. And if you keep them as friends, ideally the aspects that are kept are also the ones important to you.
Yeah, I do. Well, like to circle back to something you were saying, is I'm not good friends with anyone from school. I keep in touch with people from school, but no one who I was good friends with while I was at school. I have one really, really close friend who was at the same school as me, but not in the same year, and we weren't really good friends while at school. And I don't know, I just feel like I've changed so much. It's like it would be miraculous if I was still close friends with the people I was close friends with when I was that person, when I was 15 and 16, because like the way I behave is like unrecognizable.
I think that's also part of growing up, is not knowing whether there's like a clash between the person you're trying to become and the person you were, and not being certain about like whether losing people or losing aspects of your routine or lifestyle that you cherished for a long time is worth it.
Yeah.
If you let yourself grow and explore your identity in the ways that you want to.
Yeah, that's so true. How did you find it for you, like, when you do come back and everyone comes back to Dubai and it's so different now?
It's a bit strange. Like I'll say it's really lovely, but it's a bit surreal, especially because we hang out in a lot of, something about Dubai, it's small, right? Like,
Is it?
Like London is huge in comparison.
Yeah.
And when you've lived there, like I lived there for 10 years. So essentially at one point, like it loses like the lackluster, like touristy vibe. So we're hanging out in the same places we hung out in high school.
Yeah.
But like now we drive, now people are like, we have like lectures, we have assignments, people have jobs, like, so it's strange because it's the same people in the same place, but we're all completely
Everything's
different.
different.
And some of us, like some of my friends still live at home with their families, and some are living entirely on their own. Some have roommates, some have flatmates.
Yeah.
So everyone is like, it's like what Kim was saying. It's like the same ship, but like, is it the same ship? Because all of our personalities have drastically changed, I'd say. But
there's still a closeness.
there's still a closeness there. And I think it's just because our dynamic before everyone moved away was more like familial than it was friendship. So that's kind of helped tether us to
Okay.
each other once. But I'm interested to see how you guys felt moving into uni.
I
think
was actually going to take us into
Yeah.
our next topic with
Ayo.
that though. So the concept of unity through environment, more specifically, big cities. Rachel has been a London
Yeah,
adjacent
kind of. Yeah.
local for the vast majority of her life.
The whole of
If
my
I'm
life.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah. Nourhan, obviously hails from Dubai, where I think you also spent the majority
Yeah, I
of
think
your life,
most of my life was in
your
Dubai.
foundational years at least were spent developing in
Pretty
Dubai. I myself am from New York, 3 cities around the world with these like very massive kind of varied influences, dozens of different cultures present,
Yeah, that's
and
so
millions
true.
and millions of people. And I wanted to bring it into our next topic of discussion and how our relationship with people changes according to our environment, more specifically the city, the big city, in this case London.
I'm interested to see for you, Rachel, because you grew up around London.
Yeah.
And now you're in a completely different phase of your life, but in the same
Same kind of area.
area.
Well, yeah, again, London's so big and it changes so much. Like London changes as much as as we just spoke about at the same pace as teenagers change. Like you could, for example, live in an area of London for a year and a half and then live in a different area of London for a year and a half and visit the area you used to live in, and all of the streets you used to know, completely different shops, completely different, like new flats are built, flats are torn down, like everything is different. Obviously there's those still like those everlasting, those evergreen things that stay, but it really does evolve and it really does change, and it can create a really nice sort of like villagey vibe. So I grew up in St Albans, which is in Hertfordshire, which is it's like quite leafy. It's technically a city. It's right by London, but it's not London, and it doesn't have a very Londony vibe. But then moved to London when I was 19, so I've lived here for 3 years. Lived in Hackney for a year and a half, and it's very villagey there. Like the people who live there stay in Hackney and they know Hackney, but then like you could take them to a different borough and they wouldn't even know how to get home. Like London's so big that you're like an expert in your area and like a complete novice in other areas. Like my partner lives super far south London and I had never been there before we started dating about a year ago because it's so massive. But as well as creating like a villagey vibe for some people that I feel it does, it can also just create like complete isolation, because especially if you first move there. When I first moved to London, I was so lonely. Like I wasn't at uni, so I had no vehicle to make friends. I knew like a couple of people in town, but then at the time I moved, all of my friends were at different universities globally or all over the UK. So I was just like, okay, I've got no one in my hometown who still lives there. I've just got the structure, the bare bones of my hometown. Or I've got London where I'm like attempting to make a new life for myself. But like I have no institution to like aid me. So it was a lot. It's a lot. London requires so much effort to maintain friendships.
Yes.
Oh my God, everyone lives at least an hour away.
And everyone lives fast. It's so
And
fast
everyone
in the
lives
city.
fast.
So much is going on, and
Is it like that in New York?
New York's faster. I
Faster?
feel like,
Faster?
Yeah. New York
Oh,
moves at
God.
like breakneck speeds.
Did you
Um,
find that when you were living there?
It's like it's a reflection of London in a way. A denser, taller reflection. I feel, whereas London is more spread out, and you have different boroughs
Yeah.
that make up the city's microcosms of
sure.
culture and diversity. New York kind of exists in a similar space, but everyone's crammed in together
Wow.
in the 5 main boroughs, and there's like different neighborhoods instead constitute the different
Vibes.
yeah the different vibes, different people.
Yeah.
Lower East Side kind of feels like maybe Shoreditch-ish
Okay.
kind of.
Yeah.
I live around there right now. It's a lot
Okay.
of culture, a lot of streetwear, a lot of food. and then
Where's
you've got-
Brooklyn?
Brooklyn is across the river from Manhattan, like south of it.
Okay.
And different areas of Brooklyn where I used to live, I grew up in Carroll Gardens, which is like a super safe, super calm, like very retirement
Yeah.
home heavy neighborhood. Really feels like what's like the safest? What's the safest spot in
West
London?
London. Are you living in West? Was it you that was living in
No.
West or was someone else?
I
making
live
up
like
lies.
an old street. I'm like,
Oh, you're
just-
like
I'm, like,
busy,
busy
central.
area.
Yeah, yeah. West, definitely West, like
Very calm,
Kensington,
very
Chelsea. It's like posh areas, but meaning they're like very calm with big wide roads.
guys,
you
can
know.
I be completely honest?
Please.
I'm awful at geography, and so I think what's been the most shocking for me in London is just how it's so fast, and everyone somehow knows everywhere. So like I'll tell someone, they're like, "Oh, are you East Central, North Central? Like, are you
Yeah.
West London? Are you East?" I have no idea where I am.
You're East Central.
I'm East Central. Okay, fantastic. And then the way Kim's describing, like, oh, over the river, and just mind-boggling to have to like.
You have to
network through
revise it.
this.
You have to literally put the effort in to like memorize wherever it is.
Having lived in so many different cities, it's always like the first thing I always have to do is like figure out where I am and where the important spots I have to go to be. But I feel like that's such a cool part of big cities is that so much of your identity is linked to like where you're from or like what you do in the city. It's really in a space that doesn't manifest like it does in smaller towns.
Yeah.
Or you have these groups of people who are just very, very intrinsically linked to where they come from within the city, and it's not like where you from in London is a question that stands in its own right as opposed to where you from in the world, which I
for
think is
sure.
really cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like if you guys choose to stay in London after university, like within a year it will be all there. Like it just it comes when you, I think the moment you identify yourself as a Londoner, it comes for sure.
Do you feel like a Londoner?
I don't know. I mean, I now am able to go home without checking Google Maps
Love it.
because I just know what lines. It's really easy. There's only Northern Line and Old Street. So, like, it's not that much of like critical thinking, but I still take it as a win. So now I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable navigating the city. I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm a Londoner, but like if someone asks me for help with directions, depending on what area I'm in, I can occasionally be useful.
I love that.
So that's like
Start going on walks in like new cities. I love to turn my phone off.
That's crazy.
Or like just like dead my maps and then
Yeah.
start walking, and I'll take walks and I'll try and find like landmarks or
That's
things
great.
that identify
I love that.
where I'm at. So when I first moved to London, I was also at Old Street last year. Shout out Old Street. Shout out Northern Line.
Shout out Northern Line. I actually don't like
Fuck the
Northern Line is
Sorry
cooked,
to
but like
swear.
shout out
I
Northern
hate
Line.
it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
But like I was
Hate the Northern
strolling
Line.
around trying to find my home last year. No joke, I ended up taking one time maybe a 3.5 hour hike.
Oh God.
Trying to
Yeah,
find out
you
where I was
told me
at.
about this.
Yeah, just with music on,
Love
trying
it.
to figure out where I'm at. And you get to find so many like cool little
Yeah.
undiscovered treats on the way.
That does remind me, like when I moved, I totally forgot about this. I would just walk for hours and hours and hours. And then now, the area that I used to live in, I have a friend who still lives there and has lived there for 3 years. I know the area better than him
Oh God.
because I could walk from A to B and I don't need to look at a map. I don't need to because I know where everything is.
Walking is so underrated.
We're so lucky to live in a
Guys,
walkable city,
no,
guys. I
yeah.
hate LA.
Guys, Dubai is the most unwalkable city
Is
in the
it?
world because, well, two aspects, right?
Number one.
It's so hot.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like the weather is, oh God, like
it's not manageable.
our winter is like it can get down to like 18 degrees
my
at
worst
night.
nightmare.
So like
That is a warm day in the
so,
UK.
like, no, quite literally. Like our summers go up to like 45 degrees Celsius. That's chill. Totally normal.
I think I'd die.
Average
I
day
think
in
I'd
Dubai.
die. We'd get so sunburnt.
It's insane. And so the weather is not helping you walk. Like if you
No.
walk for like 5 minutes, you're gonna die of heat stroke.
Literally.
And then the roads, I remember when I first got here, I was like, wow, these roads are so like narrow because we have like 5-6 lanes. And I don't know who it was. A friend of mine was like, well, then how do you cross the road? And I was like, oh, we don't cross the road. That's why we can have this many lanes.
Why don't you cross the road? Because no one walks.
Because no one walks anywhere.
Oh my
It's not a
goodness.
walkable city.
You
There's
cannot
like
walk.
there's like hot spots. So there's like different areas are more interconnected. But getting from one end of Dubai to the other end of Dubai without driving, not convenient. Like it's
Okay.
a very challenging process. There is some public transport, but it definitely like doubles the journey.
Yeah, it's super long.
And Dubai is not that big for it to take you 2 hours to get from one end to another. Like
Yeah.
Coming from the single walkable city in America.
Oh yeah.
You have no, if you live in a walkable city,
Oh my god, it's
Europe
lush.
Europe is so blessed because
Yeah.
any city that is
Yeah.
not New York in mainland Northern America is absolute hell to navigate.
Really?
Yeah. LA.
Wow.
I got family out in LA. I go there pretty often, like
Yeah.
every summer. And it's baking out.
You just can't walk.
You have 8 to 12 lane of cars running straight through the
I've
city
never
center.
in my life seen 12 lanes. I've not seen that.
There's
with my eyes.
there's a 12 laner that runs directly through downtown LA.
Oh my god, that's
And-
why everyone is always talking about LA traffic.
Yeah.
if you don't have that
It's
number of
genuinely
lanes,
hellish.
That's
you
horrible.
literally like, and even with that number of lanes, traffic is awful sometimes.
Oh my goodness.
Like rush hour is insane. Another thing for walkable cities is that you have that advantage of being able to explore and find out places that you typically would not see.
And in a way that's accessible, like
Yeah.
to anybody, because anybody
Yeah.
can walk.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
And you're liking that about London.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some
so
of my
much.
favorite
So
places
much.
I found just by like going. I'm a Google Maps warrior, guys.
Yeah.
I leave Google reviews. I use like
I love that.
I'm like the person who like the waiter will be like, "Oh, could you give us a review?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I will give you a review."
Putting
and
on
I'm
for
gonna
the small
write like
businesses.
That's
a little
hilarious.
paragraph about how awesome this person was.
Do you leave bad reviews?
No, I typically just leave good
Oh,
reviews.
that's
if I don't like a
lovely.
place, I don't really like. Yeah,
That's
I just
lovely.
move on with my life.
That's great.
But I'm a Google Maps warrior. The number of amazing like spots, like whether it's a cafe or a shop or whatever, that I've discovered literally just by going on Google Maps and seeing what's within a walking radius. Places that I genuinely would have walked past
Yeah.
with the distractions of a busy city. But yeah, it's part of that like new beginning, trying to adjust to a new lifestyle and a new routine of life.
So university. We're
Oh,
all
God.
Yeah, we're all students,
Yeah.
and being a student is great and fun.
Tons of fun.
So what courses are we on? We're on different courses.
Nourhan and myself are both history, journalism, and politics.
And I'm just on journalism.
But yeah, all of us are united by the physical and academic space we share, which I think is incredibly important because as Rachel said earlier, especially I feel like it's so different from high school because of the way that people
Yes.
have changed. I feel like in high school, nobody really wants to be there. There's an
No.
inherent hostility that comes with being in a
Yeah.
high school class.
Just like
because
forced to be there.
there's classes that you like, but then there's the classes that you won't. And in
Yeah.
those classes, the only friends that you'll have in those classes, you're intrinsically founded on your dislike of being in that place. Whereas in university, everyone's picked their course. They know why they're here. It makes forming relationships with your peers so much easier because you fundamentally share at least one common interest.
I think it actually makes it harder for you to connect with people if you have that hostility towards university. Like I know if I come across someone who's like, I've come across a few people who've been like very hostile towards like, oh, I don't want to be here. Like I really can't stand this. And I like the general reaction from everyone has been like,
I hate
this is a
those
bit
people.
strange.
I hate those
No,
people,
whereas
man.
like exactly like as you were saying, like in high school this would be like a bonding opportunity, whereas here it kind of others you.
It does other
It's
you.
kind of just it's a bit embarrassing, honestly.
Yeah, I do think there's a fine line to tread because I think we should all, this may be the wrong way to phrase it, we should all be a little bit skeptical of the teaching. We should have our own critical thought
Of
about
course, yeah.
what we want to be taught, what we consider a waste of time and valuable. But I think that comes from wanting to learn. Do you know what I mean?
There
When
has
you're
to be
there
at least
being
some
like
form of desire.
pretending it's high school, being like, I don't want to be here. It's like, why are you paying to be here then?
No,
If
so
you
expensive.
show up to a class to actively detract
Just go.
from
Just
your own
don't show
experience,
up.
exactly,
Show
you
up,
have
yeah.
you have the choice to not go. So if somebody's here, chances are they're here because they, on some level, want to be.
Yeah. Or is it true international students? If you don't go to your classes, you're gonna
or,
get
or,
deported.
Yeah, or you get deported. Like it depends on the life. So either you're getting threatened. No, I'm not. You're not threatened.
Threatened to deported.
It's not that bad. I love being here. I love my student visa. Don't take it away from me. But I mean, it's valid though. Like if you're here, literally traveled. So for some people, like myself, and you've gone across the ocean.
Yeah.
So like I take like an 8-hour flight to get here.
That is wild.
And
Every day.
every single day. What a
She
commute,
commutes
guys.
from Dubai.
Yeah.
Every
each
single
She
morning.
just
morning.
loves Dubai so much.
And like like for international students, you're also paying a much larger fee.
For sure.
And then you don't go, and that's always a bit strange for me.
I think it speaks levels to a person if they're willing to
Yeah.
invest time and distance and money into something just to kind of flaunt it.
Yeah.
I think universities. I really really loved high school. I loved my school because I was in the same school for 10 years.
Wow.
So by
That's
the
a long
time I was
time.
graduating, I knew everyone in that school. I knew all the teachers. I knew all the students knew me. I was involved in so many activities through my life.
Nourhan's clouded, guys. You
Yeah.
don't
Guys,
understand.
I was an overachiever
Were you?
to the limit. Like musical theater, I'm in there.
Yeah.
Football team, I joined it. Student body president, I did it. Like
Wow.
debate team, any extracurricular, I was probably in it or leading it. It was intense.
How did you have the time?
That is something I actually don't know the answer to because now I have one lecture in the morning and I have to like do maybe an hour of work and a reading and it takes me down. Like it defeats me.
But that's London as well. Do you know what's a full-time job? Just commuting places and getting groceries.
Facts.
Okay.
Full-time
100%.
job. Oh my God.
I lived on meal deals
Harrowing.
last year.
It's harrowing.
Lived on meal deals.
That's amazing though. But you loved high school.
I loved high school and then moving to uni, I was really worried that I wouldn't have that same like connection because I'd be too hung up on like that chapter's over. I think university is such an interesting social space to be in because
Completely agree.
you feel like you're connected to everyone, but you also all have your own individual space to like be individuals. Like, does that make any sense?
Yeah, I feel like it's totally what you make it. Because for me, I feel like I've had a little bit of a sort of adjacent experience in the sense that, like, when I came to uni, I had already settled into London for most of 2 years. And, like, I'd finally had a community here and had friends. So, like, when I came to uni, I was like, I would be nice to meet people and make connections, but I don't need it. So definitely all the relationships I've formed have been casual and like, you know, like in passing and transitory. But I don't think, I do think that's kind of a unique experience that some people have had actually that live with family in London and like have grown up in London. I think there's some people on my course that have just grown up in London, gone to uni, still live with their family. So like they have all of that stuff that you had to let go of. They just haven't.
Yeah.
Which is a completely different kettle of fish.
I think it's interesting to see because in school you're surrounded by people that are relatively similar upbringing, similar vibe as you, whereas university you're meeting people from all walks of life. Like and I think that's been the most interesting to kind of get to know different people and hear their stories almost and find out like more about them through that and try to find it's easier here I think to find common ground with people that you typically would not have really crossed paths with earlier in your life, at least for me geographically. That's definitely would not have crossed paths with some people.
What do you think?
I mean what I've been told by some of the older people who I've spoken to is that you spoke on like transitory relationships going through uni, having already established some of them beforehand. But what I've heard, and it seems pretty accurate, is that the friends and connections you make in your late teens and your early 20s are going to be the ones that kind of cling for the longest time, which I think is really important, because you're given the chance. Everyone's kind of coming into it as brand new people in brand new places, and the only distinguishing factors is just you at this point, because
I think
the
that's
city's
100% true. Yeah.
the city's a blank canvas. There's so much to do, so many places to see, and so many people to meet. And being in university and being in your early 20s in the city gives you such a focused physical and academic and social space in such a kind of massive canvas around it, that you are free to make some of like the most powerful connections of your life moving forward. Like the connections that I feel like I'll be making in even the past year and moving forward into next year and the year after, I feel like are going to be so impactful in my life.
I think that's so the case for a lot of people. And I think that, like, for me, I think yes, but the connections I've made have largely not been from university, but they've been at this stage in my life, which is the stage. I think a lot of people just use university as a vehicle for that, because it's totally a vehicle for that. Yeah. Like my partner he's a bit older, and he is like such good, solid friends with people from university, and like friends of friends from that group of university, you know what I mean? Like it all sort of meshes together.
I feel like in a city this big, you just have to have a common place.
Yeah.
A common ground.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Ours happens to be university. With other people, it could be theater, or just activities that bond people together in a way that they weren't entirely able to at the previous stage, because you were still developing.
I think when you start a new chapter of your life, you start to formulate like a different or a new support system to help you through it. And that's why I feel like connections that you form at this age are like a bit stronger, because you're more mature, you're adults, but then you're also looking for that support system and that community and that network that like carries you through to explore that blank canvas that you were talking about. And it's such an interesting time, because I feel like 2 years ago was so different to now.
Yes, it's definitely like you change so much when you're a teenager, but then your life looks the same. And then you're still changing so much as in your early 20s, but your life also looks so different every 6 months to a year.
It's crazy, because you can wake up every day and look in the mirror, and like it's not going to be that different. On a day-to-day basis, you're not going to have changed that much. Save some
people.
Some life-shaking alteration that happens in the course
Big
of
tattoos.
minutes. Yeah, you're going to be, even with tattoos, you're going to be the same person.
Yeah.
Maybe you've done something with your hair. Maybe you've gotten something into your skin. But like day to day, you're not going to change that much. Over the course of 6 months, a year, you'll look back and oh my God, completely different person. And I think that's the coolest part about going into your 20s, because blank canvas, big city, new person, new beginnings.
Yeah, new beginnings. And I just think it's so important that you don't always have to enjoy it, because it's not always enjoyable. And I think that's totally fine. But definitely like make the most of it and enjoy the things that you genuinely are enjoying. And what I hate to see is people that are quite stagnant in a phase where they could be growing.
I think, embrace it and grow.
I think grow with it.
I think this is a good place to leave our pilot episode. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you guys.
Please listen to us again.
We'll catch you next time.
We see you next week. I think it's gonna be.
We'll leave it as a surprise so that you're forced to listen.
You can meet them on the
At
next
least
episode.
one of us is gonna be here next week, discussing a different topic. Thanks for listening.
Follow our socials and check in for more.
Let us know if you've resonated with anything we've shared. If you have any stories that you want to share about your new beginnings in your early 20s. And see you soon.
I'm Kim.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Nourhan.
And this has been 20s in Transit. I am in this bitch right now.